behavior because A was hurry getting to the supermarket, and when he cannot find what he wanted, he get out of the supermarket also in a hurry manner. So could that constitute reasonable grounds for suspicion?
Yeah. So the reasonable ground for suspicions must be the thing that connected to the behavior of that person, not about the appearance. Clear? Understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was saying that what if the security guys argue that A looks suspicious because he gets into the supermarket in a hurry manner and get out also in a hurry manner, and his arm also look bigger than the other one. So could that constitute reasonable grounds for suspicion?
In fact, from the Western culture, it can be a reasonable grounds. In Vietnam, you can say yes, but for the Western culture, it can be a reasonable grounds. Okay? Yeah. In Vietnam, you can see that people the security guy easily asks you to open your bag. If the supermarket allow you to go into the supermarket, okay, with the bag, okay, and when the way you get out, the security guy asks you to open the bag, maybe you think it's normal, but in Western country, it's prohibited, compulsory. No, you can't ask another person open the bag unless you have evidence showing that they put something in their bag. Understand? Because you know that in Western countries, you are allowed to take your bag into the supermarket. They do not ask you to put it in a locker. Okay. What the supermarkets have to do is that they need to have a mechanism, they need to have a techniques in order to check and in order to discover shoplifting. But they can't actually prevent people to carry their belonging into the supermarket, because you can see that a lot of supermarkets have two different doors that you can get in from this door and then lift the other door from the other door. Okay, so you can't see in a Western country that there is a locker that you need to put the bag before you can enter into the supermarket. Okay? Understand?
Understood. Yes.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, everyone. Understand? Or have any questions? Anyone have any questions? If not, we then move on to look at the next types of negligence. This is a misappropriation of the right to publicity. Okay. Oh no, this one not correct. Sorry. I'm sorry. No. Okay. Yeah. So we look at the next types of intentional tort against person. That is misappropriation of the right to publicity. Okay, so that is the situation when you attempt to use another person's names or identity for commercial purpose without their commission, without their agreement. Okay? Clear? It is also known as a tort of appropriation or passing off. For example, I can give an example for misappropriation of the right to publicity. I open spa, okay? I open spa, okay? And when I open spa, I have no connection with Ho Ngọc Hà. But I know that Ho Ngọc Hà is a very famous singer, and she have a lot of fans. So if my spa have a connection with Ho Ngọc Hà, and then I may have more clients, for example. Okay, so I put a picture of Ho Ngọc Hà in front of my spa. Okay, and without the permission from Ho Ngọc Hà, do I commit a tort of misappropriation of the right to privacy, to publicity? Do I commit a tort of misappropriation of the right to publicity if I use Ho Ngọc Hà pictures to put in my spa, in front of my spa, without her permission? Anyone have an idea? Yes or no? Can you respond that whether I commit a tort of misappropriation of the right to publicity? Yes or no? Okay, understand? Yes or no? Someone answer yes. Okay, good. Okay, I move on to look at the next types of intentional torts is invasion of the right to privacy. So invasion of the right to privacy refer to a violation of a person's right to live his or her life without being subject to unwanted and undesirable publicity, which means that someone interfere with your privacy. Okay, someone interfere with your privacy. Okay. Or placing a person in a phone line, which means that someone use your pictures for the purpose which may not correctly use your pictures as an illustration, but it's not correct. Okay, and it make you feel shame, or it make you feel your privacy is infringed. Okay, so that's it called invasions of the right to privacy, right? So if someone interferes with your private life, public something about your private life without your permission. Okay, so be careful, or someone actually listen to your open your computer without your permission, look at your mobile phones without your permission, for example. This also commit an invasion of the right to privacy. Okay, any questions? Anyone have an idea? So you understand about the invasions of the right to privacy? No questions? Okay, so now we move on to look at the next types of intentional torts against person would equal defamation. Okay, so defamations, in other words, defamation of characters. Okay, defamation of characters. In that case, the plaintiff must prove all of the following. Okay, defendant makes an untrue statement of facts about the plaintiff. Once again, it must be an untrue statement of fact. So untrue statement of opinion will not qualify. Okay, it must be an untrue statement of fact. Okay. Second, the statement refer to the plaintiffs. Okay, and the next one, the statement reduce the reputation of the plaintiffs in the eyes of the public. And the last one, the statement was intentionally or accidentally public to a third parties. So I will explain to you one after the other. The first one is the defendant makes an untrue statement of facts about the plaintiffs. So it must be an untrue statement, and that statement must be statement of facts, okay? Secondly, that statement must refer to the plaintiffs. The reference to the plaintiff here may not necessarily direct reference. Okay. All right. So you may use the nickname. Okay. Maybe you use the nickname, but the nickname make the person who listen to the statement understand that who you are referred to, and it satisfies the second requirements. Okay. The third requirement is that the statement reduce the reputations of the plaintiffs in the eyes of the public. Okay, the statement reduce the reputations of the plaintiff in the eyes of the public. So it means that such false statement of facts must reduce another reputations in the eyes of the public. If that untrue statement doesn't reduce the reputations of a person in the public, and then it doesn't satisfy the requirement of the third element. Okay. And the last element is that the statement were intentionally or accidentally public to a third parties. So remember that the publication here, okay, the publication here doesn't mean you put a statement in a public document. No. Okay, not necessary to be public in a public place. Okay. And that statement will be public to the third party in the sense that that statement is made to a third person who is capable of understanding the meaning of that statement. It's enough. Remember, the statement is made known to a third person, only a third person. who is capable of understanding the meaning of the statement. Okay. Okay. So the statement was intentionally or accidentally. So even though this is one of the intentional tort, but when you make such a statement, when you public your statement, when you tell someone, okay, about another person, what is, you know that it is untrue. You know that it is untrue. But when you tell maybe not intentionally, just only accidentally, you also be subject to the tort of defamation. Okay, clear?
Miss, I have a question.
Okay.
So what if I make a true statement of fact, but this statement seriously reduce the reputation of the plaintiff? So do I commit any wrongful tort in this situation?
You mean doesn't reduce the reputations of the person in the eye of the public? Your statement doesn't, right?
No, I mean that I made the true statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. But in that case, the first element is satisfied, the first element is satisfied?
No, it's not. It doesn't
Yeah.
satisfy.
Right, so that will not be a defamation. Defamation must all of the four elements.
Okay, I thank you, Miss.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, so if no questions, we will move on to look at classifications of defamation. Okay, defamation can be classified into two types, slanders and libel. Okay, so slanders is all around defamation of characters, which means that the false statement of fact were made orally. Okay, libel means a false statement appear in a letter, newspaper, magazine, book, photos, or videos. So it means that for libel, the false statement was in permanent form. So which one is more serious? Which one is more serious?
I think libel is more serious.
Why? Why you think that libel is more serious?
I think because first of all, when it's in written form, is somehow the possibility to change the statement is reduced when rather than we speak in oral form. When we speak something, we can, oh, I doesn't mean that, I mean this way, this way. But if we put it in a written form, the other person have some kind of evidence and to say that, oh, you clearly state that I have done this, and you clearly state an untrue statement of fact. So I think it's more serious.
Yeah, there are two main reasons for the phone statement of fact in permanent forms is more serious than the phone statement of fact in oral forms. Is that, first of all, something in permanent form is more reliable. Okay, people, when they look at something in permanent form, it's easier for them to trust, okay, on that statement. Okay, and the second is that it is easily transmitted from one person to the other person if it is in a permanent form. Okay, and for that reason, the principle is that if you want to claim damages, under slander, you have to prove that you suffer financial loss. But for libel, you don't need to prove that you suffer financial loss. Okay? Understand? Okay? Understand?
Yes, I see your point.
Okay, okay. So in the previous slide, we look at 4 elements. 4 elements, right? Okay, you can see that 4 element here, right? But you look at this with one more elements. Okay, public officers, public figure cannot recover for defamation unless they can prove that the defendant acted with actual malice. This is an additional element for proving defamation. Okay, so who are public officers, public figures? Okay, are elected officers, movie stars, sport figures, and other celebrities. Okay, so I have a question. Why for public officers, public figures need an extra elements? Anyone have any ideas for this? Anyone have an idea why? Anyone have an idea of why? Why public officers, public figures need one more additional elements?
Miss, I have a question.
Okay.
There's actual malice means intentionally.
Intentional reduce the reputations of the other person in the eyes of the public. The intentional here is more than normal intentional. It's something like you have a you have an intention to that is intentional, but it's more than normal intentional. Intentional would means that you sometimes you make a false statement of facts about someone, but you do not have an intent to reduce that person's reputations in the eyes of the public. But in the case of malice, you in fact have an intention to reduce the other person's reputation in the eyes of the public. You should differentiate between with actual malice here, with something about the statement reduce reputation of the plaintiff in the eyes of the public. You can see this is rather objective rather than subjective. The second element here, you understand? The third element, the statement reduce reputations of the plaintiff in the eyes of the public doesn't require malice. The statement itself will reduce the reputations of the other person in the eye of the public, but it doesn't mean that you intend. But in the case of the defamatory statement about the public officers, a public figure, it needs actual malice, which means the intention of the one who makes such a statement to reduce other person's reputations.
Oh, okay. I see your point. Thanks, Miss.
Yeah. So my question is why? Why? Why it requires further elements, okay? It requires another element. If you want to take a legal action against the public officer.
Well, I think that because the public officers and public figures have more chances to encounter hate speech or controversy ideas towards them, so they can only claim for defamation when there is something that is that has serious effects. They cannot claim for every single hate speech.
Okay, the main reason is that that public officers here is elected officers who elected by the people and represent the people. So they are paid from people, the tax money of the people. And also for public figures such as movie star or celebrities, they are paid from the audience, the public, the general publics. And they are the public because they are public figures, they are subject to public criticism. So that's why if they want to take a legal action against someone under defamation, they have to prove that. They have to prove that the other person in fact act with malice. Okay? But for normal person, you don't have to prove so. Okay, so in other words, public officers, public figures are subject to public criticism. They are different, they are different from a normal person. Okay? Understand?
Yes, understand.
Everyone? Any questions? Okay, so now we move on to look at the defense to defamation. So at the end of chapter 2 about intentional tort, we will look at the defense available to general defense available to intentional tort. But in each types of intentional tort, we have some intentional tort, some types of intentional tort have separate defenses. And we already looked at the defense available for phone imprisonment, which is merchant protection status. Okay, merchant protection status applicable to phone imprisonment, right? So now we look at this 5 defenses available to the defendant under defamatory action. So they are consent, justification, absolute privilege, qualified privilege, and fair comments. Okay, first of all, consent. So the defendant have a complete defense if the plaintiff agree to the publication of the defamatory statement. Okay. The defendant have a complete defense if the plaintiff agree to the publications of the defamatory statement. Okay. All right. So it means that sometimes the person who want to become more famous and they want to become famous person in a bad way, okay? So they want to have a scandal, okay? So scandal may make you more famous, okay? So in that case, if you allow someone who build up the scandal against you in order to make you become more famous, later on, you can't, based on the defamation action, to sue that person anymore. Okay, clear? Understand about the consent? Any questions? Okay, if not, I will then look at the second defense, which is the complete defense. Okay, the complete defense available if the defendant can prove that the defamatory statement was substantially true. So you know that true is true or false is false. Okay, substantially true may not be true. Yeah, that's correct. But the justification defense allow a person who make a statement about another person what is substantially true and for the public interest will have a defense of justification. So substantially true means that this is almost true, but not 100% true. But that statement will make because of the public interest. So it's maybe refer to someone who are actually play some role in the society, okay, that people need to understand about that person, the general public need to understand about that person. So statement against that person may be necessary for the public to justify whether that person will be qualified for a particular position, okay, maybe before a person be elected, right? Okay, so that is about justification defense. Anyone have any questions about this?
I don't quite understand this part. Can you please give us another example?
Yeah, I will give you an example. Like you see a person who is actually a person who in the list to be elected for a position, okay, and you see that person go to the hotels, okay, a hotel with a girl. He have a wife already, he married, okay, but you see him go into a hotel with a lady, okay, and you then say, you make that statement that I saw that person go to the hotel with a girl, okay, and then you make such a statement, but then you didn't know that he go to the hotel with that girl, but in the hotel there is a section, I mean the restaurant, and they go to the restaurant, okay. So you make a statement that you see a person going to the hotel with the girls, see that person. So normally, if you say someone go to the hotel with the girls, it could reduce the person's reputation in the eyes of the public, especially for those who already have married. But that person is on the list of a person who will be elected for a position like the public position, but he haven't been elected yet. But you make that statement for people who understand that, who know about him. Okay. All right. So then later on, you know that he go to that hotel with a girl, but go to the restaurant. So in that situation, we can use as an example of this defense. You have a defense that, okay, even though your statement not 100% true, he go to the restaurant inside of the hotel, not go to the hotel generally, but it is for the public interest because he is going to be elected as a public figure. He not yet been a public elected person yet. Understand? If you make that statement about someone who is not the one who is going to be elected as person who hold a position, for example, a president of the city. Understand? Whether if a person that you make that statement about is not the one who going to be elected as the president of the city, do justification defense available to you? Understand?
So in your example, justification is available, right?
Yeah, in my example, if that person is the one who is actually who you refer to is a person who is going to be elected as the president of the city, and the justifications is available. The justification defense is available. If it is a normal person, okay?
Okay, I see your point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. That is the justification defense. The next defense is absolute privilege. So what absolute privilege defense mean? Absolute privilege defense mean the situation in which there are several communication qualify for this privilege, which mean the discussion or communication within the parliamentary debates, the court proceeding, or senior government communication and communications between solicitors and client. What does it mean? This means that the law allows people who make a debate in a parliamentary section, in the court proceeding, in the senior government communications, which means the communications among senior governmental officers, and communications between solicitor and client to be exempted from defamation claim, which means that, for example, in the parliamentary debates, if a parliamentary member make a statement about someone, it turned out to be untrue, and that statement reduce the reputations of another person because it is untrue. But then the person whose reputation is reduced because of that statement may be barred from taking legal actions against the one who makes such a statement because there is a defense of absolute privilege. So you understand? You understand about the absolute privilege defense? Understand or not? Would mean that in some situation, you are not able to sue the person. You may sue, but you will not win if that person have an absolute privilege. And absolute privilege applicable in the case of parliamentary discussion, court proceeding, senior government communications, and communications between solicitor and clients. Which means that in those communications, people are free to say something they know and will be immune or will be exempted from defamation action because they have a privilege. And that privilege is absolute privilege. The purpose of having this defense is that to encourage people to say whatever they know in several communication. Understand?
Yes, understand.
Okay, good. Anyone have any questions? The last one, it qualified, oh no, not the last one, the second last one, qualified privilege. What qualified privilege mean? The qualified privilege applicable in the situation in which the following three conditions or three elements are satisfied. The first one is that the sender and the receiver of the information had an acceptable interest in the subject matters. Second, the statement lacks malice. And the last one, publication were not too wide. Okay. So it means that in such a situation, the person who is sued under defamation action can be released from liability if they can prove that they satisfy all of the foregoing three elements. Okay? All right. But remember that the one who make the statement must believe that the statement is true, okay? In order to have this qualified privilege. So it means four elements, in fact, okay? The first one is that the one who make a statement have some reason to believe that it is true, but of course it turned out to be untrue, right? And the second one is that the sender and the receiver of the information have an acceptable interest in the subject matters. The statement lacks malice. And lastly, publication were not too wide. Okay. All right. So now I just want to give you an example and ask you whether the following situation is qualified for the defense of qualified privilege. A is a security guy of the supermarket. A's obligations is to look at the camera, the video, to find out any suspected matters happen inside of the supermarket. One day when A looked at the video, A found that a staff in the supermarket take something from the shelf, okay, take an item from the shelf and carry it, put in the bag, carry it to the staff room. He is curious about that staff behavior. He then report that to his boss that of these curious or suspected things. And then the boss investigate the staff. After the investigation, the boss come to the conclusion that no, she did not commit a wrong. Okay, she take that item on duty. Okay. However, and then the staff, after that incident, the staff take a legal action against